Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Keeping the Wealth, a show geared towards helping successful people stay successful today, tomorrow, and long into the future. I've got my co-host Hillary with me. Hillary, thank you for stopping by. I really
Thank you for having me.
Well, you are a part of the team, and we're going to be here. And here's our first episode. We're going to be talking to Jeff about 1031 exchanges. Thank you, Jeff, for stopping by.
Thank you.
If anybody wants to hold on to their wealth, the best thing is to put off paying taxes until after you're dead. Hopefully, I'm right about that, Jeff. But you're an expert in 1031 exchanges. Could you just tell us what is a 1031 exchange?
1031 exchange is a tax code, right? 1031, IRS tax code 1031 gives the investor, the real estate investor, the opportunity to sell investment property held for the productive use in the trade or business or for investment purposes for other like-kind properties that are held for the productive use or trade or business. So that helps them what? Use the tax money they would have paid for more real estate properties that they're going to own. So that's why the benefit is, like you said, you're kicking the can down the road. You're using that money to buy more real estate and then eventually pass away. So what we say in the industry is exchange, 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 and die, right?
Exactly, in that order.
In that order.
Hillary, do you have any questions for Jeff this morning?
So far, what is like kind of change for the investor? Like, for example, house, apartment, commercial to commercial. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. So like kind, everybody was on the fence because Congress was trying to change like kind, right? To very specific rental house to rental house, apartment to apartment, retail to retail. It did not pass. So therefore, it's still the same, meaning that investment property to the IRS is very broad. So you could go from rental house to retail, and you could sell the retail, you could do apartment, the apartment, you could do office. So you could mix and match and trade back and forth between all the types of real estate. And it's only real estate that you can do, okay? So a lot of people think, oh, I have a business, I want to do the business. You can't do that anymore. It's only real property for real property.
Okay, so and then vacant land would come.
It qualifies as long as they hold it
Uh-huh.
for investment purposes.
Which would be great because if you have an acre of land and you never did anything with it, you want to get rid of that and trade into something that has an income, do it and call Jeff before you do it.
And we
Yes.
always recommend that they talk to their CPA or tax professional, right? To make sure that they held the property for investment purposes. And then they could sell, exchange, and then buy income producing pieces of the property. And vice versa. You could sell a rental house. Let's say you're tired of the tenants. You could buy the vacant land.
Okay.
Oh, I see.
If I did a 1031 exchange, can I buy multiple properties if I just sold one?
Yes. You can sell multiple properties. The exchange start when the first property closes. And you could always add property number 2 and number 3 or any additional one as long as you haven't purchased any replacement properties yet. And vice versa, right? You could sell a property and buy multiple properties. So it's just value to value, right? If you sell $1 million, you want to buy 2 properties at $500,000 a piece, you can. Or 3 properties or 4 properties. However you want to do it is always value to value when you do a 1031 exchange. So we always say is whatever you sold for, whatever value that is, that's what you want to buy for. And however many properties they are, it doesn't really matter.
Brilliant.
Perfect. May I buy a property in another state? We are in California at this moment. Then I heard that a lot of people like invest outside the state, nationwide. Will we be able to buy another property in another state?
Yes. So 1031 exchange is a federal tax law. So you could go in all 50 states. You could go back and forth, up and down. you go from West Coast to East Coast, it doesn't matter, okay? Each state complies with the 1031 exchange. However, you have to watch out for if any of the states have a state tax, right? A withholding tax that they're going to hold back. Like California has instituted theirs, which is Assembly Bill 92, is their what they call the clawback. They're going to track the gain that left California to the other state. There's a new form that you have to fill out with your income taxes, the 3840. Okay, and you have to fill it out the year in which you do the exchange and every year thereafter until you either sell the property, pay California back, or die.
Wow.
Oh,
Okay.
So it's
wow.
forevermore, right? It's forevermore.
So hopefully we'll die before we have California. Could I use the 1031 to buy primary residence?
No, but that's the myth because we get a lot of calls that said, hey, I haven't lived in my primary residence 2 out of the past 5 years, so I don't qualify for the tax-free money. So can I do a 1031 exchange? It's different tax codes, right? Primary residence is what? Section 121. 1031 is a different section. It's for investment property.
Oh, wow. So it sounds like, I mean, this is very complicated. You seem to have it all in your head. You're not looking anything up. You memorized all of this. It's in your blood. Am I right?
It's in my blood. I do it. This is my job. I do it every day, full time. I just coordinate 1031 exchanges, explain to the clients what they can and can't do.
Okay, cool.
Very nice. Yes. Do I have to do I allow to reinvest the gain or just
That-
the net profit?
So
from
that's
the
another
1031?
myth, right? So that's another
Yes.
myth. So a lot of your clients or investors, where do they go? To the internet. And the internet says, oh, if you want to defer your capital gains, you just have to invest your capital gains, right? Or
Yes.
they say, don't touch the money, just
Mhm.
reinvest the net proceeds. That's not 100% correct. As we said a little bit earlier, it's what? Sales price to purchase price, right? Whatever you sell for, you want to buy. So that's why if you have a loan on the property that you're selling, that means your net proceeds are going to be a lot less than the sales price. Therefore, if you just roll over your cash and then you say, hey, I'm done with my 1031 exchange, and that's all you bought, you
Okay.
forgot about the debt, right? Even though the loan to Bank of America, Wells Fargo gets paid off, right? You don't have that money. The IRS says what? You have to get a new loan
Oh, I see.
of equal or more of the debt that was paid off. Or you have to do what? Bring in cash
Mhm.
to offset the debt, or the seller from the replacement property that you're buying can do what? Seller financing for you and be the bank for you. But
Oh.
that's why it's value to value.
So basically, it's pretty simple when you think about it. The biggest thing is stop going on the internet to get these.
To get this.
So I guess let me put it in a nutshell. The question: how much do I need to buy?
Equal to or more than what you sold, right?
Okay, very good. So I sold $1 million worth of stuff. Even if I owed 900,000 on that, the next one has to be at least $1,000,001 or $1 million or $1,001 plus the next property.
Right. And so if they want to exact exchange value that they got to buy, right? They go, what's the minimum amount? We can't give it to them because we're not their tax person or their CPA. They need to consult with their tax person, right, or CPA, and take that estimated closing statement from escrow to them and say, well, that I could deduct from the sales price, because it's like a stock, right? The IRS says, hey, you're not going to get taxed on the commissions that you pay the broker. Same with the real estate too, right? You're paying somebody to help you sell the property and escrow to conduct the transaction. That's why everybody goes, oh, it's just my net proceeds. It's not, right? That's why we go from sales price, and then we take the deductions that are qualified. And that's where the CPA has to step in and say which ones are qualified and which ones are not
Or not.
qualified.
Awesome. So yeah, you have to
Awesome. Yeah.
professionals. Go ahead, Hill.
Yeah.
That's my exchange start when I list my investment property.
That's the other myth, right? That's another myth because they go, oh, when does my exchange start? When you list your property, you get an offer and you open up escrow. No, your exchange starts when you actually close because the IRS says what? There was no transfer of title to the buyer because you have certain timelines, right, that come into play. From the close of escrow, the property you sell, IRS gives you 180 days to complete the exchange. And those are calendar days. So if it falls Saturday, Sunday, holiday, you have to close what? The previous business day. Then what's the other thing? The identification, right, of replacement properties. You must identify within the first 45 days of the 180 days. And you have certain guidelines to identify the replacement properties, right? You could do up to 3 properties, first choice, second choice, third choice, unlimited in value. There's a second rule where you want to buy multiple properties, as we discussed earlier, right? The IRS says you could identify as many properties as you want, 4 or more properties, but then you have to add up the total value, right? Each property has a value. You add them all up. They cannot exceed twice the value what you sold, and that would be a good exchange ID. And then you just must buy off your list that we receive from you by midnight of the 45th day.
45th day.
Right. And there's an exception, the 95% exception, where if you identify more than 3 properties, so you identify 10, but it's more than twice the value of what you sold, as they say, it's 3 times, right? The IRS says, we'll let your exchange go through if you buy 95% of the total aggregate value of all the properties you bought. So in truth, what are they telling you? Buy all your properties, right? So that's like buying a portfolio, right? So we see a lot of this happening in the market right now because the commercial investors are moving over to the residential and they're selling 2 million, 3 million, 1 million of value, and then they have to move it over to the residential. So they're buying what? Multiple properties. And a lot of times they're buying portfolios from another investor. And so that's where the 95% rule helps them out to buy that portfolio.
So you're
Perfect.
you're seeing people sell that shopping mall and buying an apartment, a fourplex or something like that.
Or multiple fourplexes, because we have places where, you know, they're buying 6, 7 fourplexes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, but they're the seller's doing the seller carryback for them, so they could buy the whole package, right?
Very nice. What happened if I cannot find, or the buyer cannot find the replacement property during the
So-
time period?
Right. This is where the key part of it. So once you say, I want to do a 1031 exchange, or I'm selling an investment property and I don't want to pay any taxes, you have to start planning with your CPA, your tax professional, right? To say, what is my tax liability if I don't do an exchange, right? And then you have to start working with your what? Real estate agent to start planning of where you want to go. So once you list that property for sale and you get an offer and you're in escrow, it's game on, right? It's time to like know where you're going to go because you have only 45 days to identify. You can make offers while you're in escrow, right? But protect yourself with a contingent offer. So you're not stuck buying the property without selling your property. You could do it backwards, but it's going to get way expensive. It's like $10,000 to do a reverse exchange. You could do it, but you get more advanced. A lot of the commercial people use the reverse exchange because they want to make sure they're buying the property that they want, right? So if you have somebody that I gotta have this property. You could do the reverse exchange, but let them know it's going to be about $10,000 to do backwards.
So when you do the backwards exchange, you say it's gonna be about 10,000. Is that like a formula of a certain number of points, or how do you come up with that fee?
No, it's based upon the exchange company on how they work the reverse exchange. So
Okay, got it.
I would say because that's going to be your average, it's going to be about 10,000.
Mhm.
Some might be a little bit more, but it's not about holding the money anymore. Okay, it's going to be about holding a property because the IRS says you cannot own both properties at the same time.
Got it. Okay, cool.
So if you cannot find the replacement property, that means you disqualify for the 1031 exchange.
Right. And then you just pay your tax, right?
I don't want to hear that, please.
That's why really and truly, your real estate agent should be aware of what you're doing, right? Because once you close, you need to start making those offers or, be
Or
on
The
alert
clock
of
is
what's
ticking.
going. Correct.
Yeah.
And you could close the next day. So if you do it right, you should be able to sell and close within 45 days,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
No,
If you're going beyond that, I think there's something off,
exactly.
right? That you're not doing or you're not seeing that is preventing you from finding that properties. Are you trying to lowball the offers, right? Because we get them, and that's what I tell everybody, you're doing an exchange, so go in strong. You
Right.
can't go in weak because you need to complete your 1031 exchange. And that's where the investors go, no, I'm going to buy it cheap, right? And they only put $5,000 deposit. I said, no, if we have cash in your account, what do?
Right.
Put 50,000 down, not 5,000.
Yes.
You put 50 because that's coming from where? The exchange account. It's not coming out of their pocket.
Right.
You're right.
So Hillary, do you have a final question for Jeff?
How can I use the 1031 exchange to keep the wealth?
Like this program, right? Where it's about preserving the wealth, right? The legacies, you did all the wealth because 1031 exchange is a way to what? Create wealth, right? You
Right.
sell
Well,
a
yeah.
sell a rental property, you buy a fourplex. Sell the fourplex, you buy an apartment. Sell the apartment, you go what? Multiple properties or you buy commercial. That's how you build wealth, right? Now, once you build it, how do you preserve it? You keep on parlaying that, and then you could use different avenues. Things. Are you in business for yourself? You can buy you what? Your office building and run your
Okay.
office out of there, right? So there's different things. Then what happens once you build that wealth, then you start setting up what? Your estate plan.
Right. Exactly.
You use
Estate
the
plan.
1031 to do that. You could do second home vacation homes now. There's all these other options that are available now that weren't available before that you could use the 1031 exchange to do, right? You could buy what? Your forevermore home.
Mhm.
I'm going to go to Las Vegas and buy my retirement home,
Ah,
right? So you go over there, you 1031 exchange in California, you go to Las Vegas, you go buy in Summerlin, and and then what happens when you retire? You sell California and you move over there,
wow. Live there till you,
right? Exactly, right?
and then you
And
pay
then,
taxes. Yes.
no, because that gets what? Stepped up to the heirs and
Yeah. Who
they
cares?
pay it, right?
Yeah.
So
Not.
that's how you create and preserve the wealth, right? Through the 1031 exchange. That's why you need a good what? Estate planning attorney, CPA, to help
CPA
you
and a good
go
10.
through.
Yes. So Jeff, if somebody wants to consult with you, does it cost anything for a consultation?
Not to whatsoever. It's free.
Oh,
So we work with the real estate agents and the clients, and we always do a conference call to help their clients understand the 1031 exchange, what they can and can't do, what they can and can't buy, how are they supposed to move through the guidelines.
all right, ladies and gentlemen, Hillary, thank you for joining me. Thank you, Jeff, for joining us on our first episode of our new show. What's the name of the show? keeping the
The
wealth.
wealth.
Well, yes.
So we're going to see you guys again next time. And if you guys out there have a suggestion for a guest or a subject matter, send us a little message. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much. See you again.
Thank you.